always a pleasure to welcome a new sponsor to Property Tribes, and today we are welcoming the Zeus App as the powerer of our Property Prices tribe, and I'm delighted to be joined on this call by Zeus founder Nick Christoforou. And Nick, it's so great to welcome you along to Property Tribes at what is such an interesting time for the sector. Tell us a little bit about Zeus. It's a virtual valuation platform, which I know is going to be of huge interest to our community. But what was the inspiration behind setting it up?
Vanessa, thanks for having me. The inspiration came a few years ago when I'd recently refurbished a flat I owned, and I wanted to understand if I'd added any value, and if so, how much value had I added. And I was employed at the time, working long hours, and it took me 2 weeks to get 4 valuations in the traditional way. I would have to call the agents, find time for them to visit. They then would have various phone calls and emails with each of them. And it was just a very long, drawn out, tedious process. And I felt that it needed to be rationalized and streamlined, not removing the agent, but just a quicker, more efficient way of finding out the number. And I think that the app does exactly that. So that's where the original idea came from. Yeah.
So just explain to us how the Zeus app works in terms of landlords who are looking to determine the price of a property. And I just want to say, how important it is that landlords understand the true value of a property, whether they're thinking of buying one or they're looking to find out, as you were, Nick, how much a refurbishment had added to the property and so on. It's absolutely vital to have the correct numbers, isn't it? So how does Zeus assist the landlord in finding out the correct value of a property?
Sure. So yeah, like you said, the number, the value is the key to everything in the property journey, whether that's remortgaging, regular mortgage, rental, anything. So without that number being accurate at the beginning, there's no follow on. So for landlords or any property owner or homeowner, they can download the app, enter the property information, add photos, floor plans, the service charges, any information they know or are aware of. The more information, the better. And they send that information to all the local estate agents. And the estate agents will also have the app. They'll be notified when there's a valuation request. They'll see all the property information on their side of the app, and they'll respond immediately with their opinion on value and their proposed fees. So our average landlord will, in one of our core areas, will receive 4 valuations from 4 different agents within about 4 hours. So if you uploaded a property on a Saturday night, you might not get a valuation until Monday morning, but during normal working hours, you'll probably get a valuation within a few minutes.
So this is a desktop valuation based on the agent's local knowledge.
It is a desktop valuation. However, we do track all our data, and we have vast data now. We've had over 1,000 properties go through our platform, and we track the average valuation produced by our platform with the eventual sale or letting price. And we've always been within 5% of that price. So to our knowledge, we're the most accurate valuation tool available at the moment.
And you have a background of being a chartered surveyor yourself. That's obviously been very, very useful when setting up the app, I would imagine.
It's certainly been helpful on the valuation side, and just understanding the importance of making sure that's as accurate as possible, and therefore the parameters required by the user to input to ensure the accuracy. The more information they provide, the more accurate the valuation. My experience in estate agency as well, I worked for an estate agent for several years, and that certainly helped me understand the agent side of things and what their demands were and what their needs are to ensure essentially quality leads are being sent through.
Mm. So what about landlords interpreting the valuations they get back? If they got 4 valuations, would you recommend that they add those together and just take an average of them, or how should they interpret it, what they get back, or is it just really down to them and their own kind of local knowledge?
Well, the app will produce a graph of where all the valuations are, and it will also give the average of those valuations too, and it will plot that on the graph too, so you can see exactly the the range and everything in between. So naturally, some agents might overvalue to win an instruction. I think that's a tactic in the industry anyway, on app or off app, and then some agents will be bang on. So I think it's up to the landlord and the property owner to really navigate from there themselves. You can contact the agents directly on the app by email or phone. All their details are on there. You can see their Google reviews as well. So and you can see the fees they're charging. So looking at all those parameters, you can then assess who you think's produced the best valuation for you. But I think on top of that, knowing that the platform is giving you a highly accurate result, you can be confident that what they've provided is within a solid range.
Because of all the challenges in the private rented sector, obviously, COVID as well has had a huge negative impact on some landlords. A lot of landlords are looking to sell. Obviously, I think the Zeus app is a great way for them to get potential agents to work with. We do hear from time to time on Property Tribes that agents don't like selling tenanted properties, that they want to see them as vacant possession. I personally haven't really experienced that. I think it's quite standard to want to sell a tenanted property, and there's a lot of advantages to both the buyer and the seller. What's your view on the agents on the Zeus app? Are they going to be open to tenanted properties, do you think?
Sure, we've actually triggered leads for agents on tenants, both tenanted properties and vacant properties, which they've then gone on to let via one of our leads. We don't, I can't think of any examples where anyone's made preference to one or the other. I don't think there's a more desirable or less desirable situation. No, I think naturally, there's pros and cons to both, and as long as the tenant is aware of any potential viewings, or when the photos are taken, the place looks neat, tidy and presentable, I don't think you should have a problem. No,
I agree. So how does Zeus differ from other kind of valuation tools that are already out there?
Well, we're fully app based. There's no other valuation tool that's fully app-based, and when you look at just technological trends over the last 5-10 years, everything is heading towards apps, and the general increase in their usage and popularity is for everyone to see. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the accuracy, which we've discussed, and how accurate we are versus more algorithmic-based valuations. And the other thing I would say is we're kind of bridging the gap between technology and the human experience and expertise. So we're not one or the other. We're including both, because we still believe, like you said at the beginning, the human interaction and relationships in our industry are so important. So we still are empowering the real estate agents, just in a different process, a new technological process.
I totally agree with you. I think all the best apps are those that blend the digital experience with the human touch, really. And I think, as we know in property, relationships and the team around you and the people that you work with are absolutely vital. So Zeus doesn't take away from that in any respect whatsoever. It actually enhances it, and it helps landlords find their way to good agents that can assist them.
Yeah, agreed. You look at some of the most successful technological advances in the last decade, and they're all platforms which are bridging humans together, whether it's Uber, whether it's Airbnb. That is, they're streamlining almost archaic processes now, but not removing the human touch, if you like. Yeah.
You started developing Zeus just prior to COVID, and of course COVID came along and totally accelerated the change towards the use of digital tools. Before COVID, we were interviewing everybody in person on proper video shoots, and we had to adapt to Property Tribes for our TV side of things and start doing Zoom, which has actually been absolutely fantastic for us in many ways. But with Zeus, I kind of almost think that what's happened with COVID and this acceleration towards the adoption of digital technology has probably actually helped the business more than hindered it.
It has helped us. I think it was a product which was perfectly aligned to the conditions we had to work within during the pandemic, even still now. I think the behavioral change was there anyway, and it was beginning. I just think it's now accelerated it, as we've seen with so many different virtual tools. So, property owners and landlords are becoming much more amenable to navigating digital processes for their property needs, and I think that's here to stay. And our data and our trends, when you look at it, it's only increasing. Having said that, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a strange period because all estate agents closed. So we had an interesting time during our first funding round when that happened. But then once the market opened again, we've gone from strength to strength. And this year alone, we've had month on month increased numbers of downloads for the app. So it's a trend that's here, and a behavioural shift that's here to stay as well, I believe.
No, I totally agree. So we've talked about property valuations. What about rental valuations? Does Zeus accommodate those at the moment, or is that something that's further down the roadmap?
It does accommodate rental valuations now. Exactly the same process as you would procure a sales valuation. We do it for rentals now. We have a lot of landlords use our app to actually understand the value of a renewing AST, for example, or if a tenant has served notice and they want to understand the value now, then it's a great tool just to get a quick idea on what they should be charging. It's amazing. Zoopla research recently stated that 70% of property owners don't know the true value of their property. So I was surprised when I read that. And again, another reason to use our tool. Just takes a couple of minutes to find to upload a property and obtain valuations.
Because we are in such unique market conditions. I've been in property for 20 odd years, and I've never experienced anything like it. And a year ago, for us to be talking about this really frothy market, both in terms of sales and lettings, you would never believe that.
Yeah, I think in moving markets, which we're seeing at the moment, especially over the last 18 months, the agents are the best people to understand the value. They're, like you said, they're on the pulse. They are seeing and breathing it every day. They know street to street, what are the more popular streets? Is it on the right side of the street? The aspects of a particular property, the demands of the demographic in that neighborhood. and algorithms aren't there yet. Maybe they will never be there in terms of understanding those parameters. And the agents are live. You know, they know what's let yesterday or this morning, and all of that information helps them produce an accurate valuation response on our app as well. Whereas a lot of the other tools are a bit behind the current day or the live information.
Well, one of the threads that's had a lot of traction on Property Tribes lately is down valuations. I've experienced one myself. I was kind of thinking here that could a landlord that's doing a remortgage use the Zeus app to get 3 or 4 local agent valuations and then put a little pack together for the valuer to attend on the day and just sort of hand it over and say, oh, I've had a few local agent valuations done. Could that be a use of Zeus as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had landlords use it for that exact thing, and we're seeing that more and more at the moment. When prices are increasing, people are either thinking of selling or thinking of remortgaging to release some equity. So that's a popular use for our app as well. In fact, we're hoping to go one stage further, and we're in early discussions with some lenders to inform or help inform bank valuations and remortgage valuations directly. So once we proving our accuracy even more, there's no reason why they can't use our tool for that too.
Well, I have to say, Nick, I think it's the right product at the right time. And, you know, we can't stress how important it is to have accurate valuations for both sale and rental, particularly, you know, when you are assessing a property deal. And as you know, Property Tribes is partnered with Landlord, and we have a very, very powerful deal analyzer. And we always say, you know, numbers never lie, but you have to input the correct numbers in the first place to get an accurate output, don't you? And I can see, you know, that Landlord and Zeus would work very well together on the deal analyzing side.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think we're seeing that across prop tech on the whole at the moment. There's been some acquisitions and some consolidation of the marketplace. And I think that there's more of that to come, because while there's a lot of great platforms doing individual things very well, I think there's still space for a more all-encompassing platform or platforms. And you know, we're looking at new features as well for landlords to acquire or to procure floor plans, whether gas safety certificates. All in app as well. So I do believe, like you said, a lot of these things will merge and be of benefit to all people involved.
Well, it's great to be partnering with Zeus relatively early on in your journey and to work together. And I hope our community will give feedback to you, which will help you with your future roadmap as far as landlords are concerned. And just to reiterate, landlords, if they want to start using Zeus, they download the app and they take it from there.
Yeah, it's a really self-explanatory process. You'll find us on both app stores. Just type in probably Property Valuation or the Zeus app, and you'll see us there. Just to add, we're London focused. So if you've got London property, then you will get a great result. If you're nationwide, then you will hear from agents, but naturally, as we scale, we haven't got as many agents nationwide as we do in London.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this introductory Zoom call to welcome Zeus to the Property Tribes community. We'd love to do more content with you, Nick. I think you've got a lot of valuable information and insights to share. So hopefully we can hook up again in the not too distant future. But for now, anybody that's interested in learning more about Zeus, please go to the app stores to download it. And also you can click on the banner at the top of this thread, and that will take you across to more information about Zeus. So good luck with everything, Nick. Really exciting times for you, and we're very delighted to be partnering with you as you set off on this journey with Zeus.
Thanks so much for your time, Vanessa, and thanks for having me on. And yeah, happy to respond to any inquiries directly or feedback directly. It all helps. We listen to everything and everyone, and we build our product off the back of our users' feedback and demands. So yeah, thank you, and wish you all the best too.
Likewise. Thanks for joining me.
Okay, take care.